Have you ever stopped to actually think about the fundamental unfairness of cybersecurity today? If you're managing a network right now, you are playing a game where the rules are just completely rigged against you. Think about it. Attackers, they only need to find one tiny microscopic breach. Just one unpatched server, one accidentally clicked phishing link, or one misconfigured router. But you, as the defender, you have to be perfect everywhere, all the time.
Okay, let's dive into this asymmetry, because this really paints the picture. On the left side, we have the attacker. They're relaxed. They literally have all the time in the world to just poke and prod at your network using hackers, malware, DDoS attacks, SQL injections, password cracking, you name it. They're probing from a 360-degree angle. Then, on the right, we have the single IT defender sweating bullets, trying to patch every single vulnerable node across the data center, the campus branches, the WAN, and beyond. Every blind spot in the traditional static defense is just a fatal breach waiting to happen.
Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're tearing down the old, crumbling fortress of network security. We're going to do a really fascinating technical breakdown of how we move from that rigid, static model to a biological, dynamic network security model. We are diving deep into the blueprint of Juniper's software-defined secure network, or SDSN.
Section 1. The death of the perimeter and the static defense gap. Before we get into the new stuff, we have to recognize why this shift is so critical. The old ways of defending a network? Yeah, they are officially dead. They're just no longer fit for purpose.
Just look at the stark contrast here. On the left, that's the past. We had these neat, closed, highly managed networks. You'd put a big firewall at the gateway to the internet, and everything inside was trusted and safe. It was basically a castle with a moat. But look at today's reality on the right. It is absolute borderless chaos. We're dealing with bring your own device, guest Wi-Fi, remote workers on VPNs, SaaS applications, and totally exposed cloud servers. The perimeter has completely evaporated. Relying on a single static choke point is literally impossible when internal and external risks are growing exponentially.
So how have our tools actually evolved to handle all this? Well, this matrix breaks it down beautifully. We started out with traditional firewalls operating at layer 3, which was basically just static packet filtering. Then the industry evolved to next-generation firewalls, or NGFWs, covering layers 3 through 7. Now these brought in integrated intrusion defense and application tunneling. But, and here's the catch, they still ultimately relied on static security policies. Today, that is just not enough. We desperately need layer 7+ intelligent firewalls. We're talking about dynamic adaptation to unknown threats, integrating real machine learning, and utilizing real-time cloud threat intelligence.
The reality is, organizations today are practically screaming for more visibility. A recent insight actually showed that 78% of organizations urgently need better web traffic visibility. Clients don't just want another upgraded filter that checks off a static list of known bad guys. You need an intelligent brain. You need a system capable of not just blocking, but actively sensing, learning, and deciding in real time.
Section 2. The network immune system. So, if the perimeter is dead and those static filters are totally obsolete, what on earth is the solution? Well, we need to look at biology. Our networks need to act a lot less like a medieval castle wall and much, much more like the human immune system. And that brings us to the core architecture of Juniper's software-defined secure network. It's broken down into 3 main biological layers. First, you have detection, the sensory layer powered by cloud and third-party intelligence. Second, policy, the central brain making dynamic decisions. And third, enforcement, the physical and virtual muscles extending that defense down to every single endpoint on the network. Section 3. Brain, muscle, and senses. Let's move to and see how this builds. How do these pieces actually talk to each other to keep the whole enterprise alive? Well, it all starts with the brain. In this blueprint, that's the Juno Space Security Director. And let me be clear, this isn't just a management dashboard. It is the central intelligence hub. It oversees absolutely everything, effectively eliminating those isolated management silos that IT teams absolutely hate, and it dynamically adjusts security rules across the board.
This brain basically relies on 4 major pillars: total network visibility, centralized security policy management, precise control over application usage, and the seamless integration of security intelligence. It gives administrators a single pane of glass to manage the entire lifecycle of a security policy. It's essentially the nervous system's command center.
But a brain is totally useless without senses and memory, right? That's where JSA, the analytics engine, and Sky ATP come in. This is how the network actually feels an attack.
It moves way beyond just stopping known threats with basic signatures, stepping into the realm of proactively sensing unknown, zero-day behaviors.
And this brilliantly illustrates how JSA acts like a digital alchemy funnel. It ingests literally millions of raw, noisy events and flows from all over the network. It cross-references them, analyzes them, and distills them all down into just a tiny handful of highly actionable offenses. So instead of massive alert fatigue, security teams get a clear, laser-focused target.
But what about threats that have literally never been seen before? That's where Sky Advanced Threat Prevention acts as the ultimate trap. When an unknown file enters the network, Sky ATP uses machine learning and sandboxing to isolate it. But here's the genius part. It goes a step further and uses deception. It tricks highly evasive, sneaky malware into thinking it's in a real, vulnerable environment, so the malware drops its guard and reveals its true malicious nature. This massively reduces false positives and instantly generates brand new threat intel to block the attack in line.
Okay, so the senses have detected the threat, and the brain has decided it's malicious. Now, you need the brawn. Introduce the enforcers, the muscle. These are the physical SRX firewalls and the EX or QFX series switches that actually stop these digital pathogens right in their tracks.
Now, the SRX series isn't just some heavy metal box doing old-school firewall chores anymore. No way. It is an intelligence execution core. It carries out the brain's orders by enforcing over 1 million custom threat intelligence entries. It applies the cure exactly the way the infection is trying to spread.
Section 4, the automated defense reflex. Just imagine what happens when these biological parts, the senses, the brain, and the muscle, all fire at the exact same time. We get what is honestly the most exciting part of this entire architecture.
It happens at a fraction of a second, broken down into 5 distinct steps. Step 1, an unknown intrusion attempts to sneak in. Step 2, the file is instantly pushed up to the cloud for deep inspection. Step 3, a verdict is reached. Yep, it's malicious. Step 4, the brain dispatches a block command. And Step 5, total physical isolation at the port level.
Let's trace this visual loop together. The unknown malware enters through a compromised laptop down at the bottom. The SRX grabs it, sends it straight up to the Sky ATP cloud. Sky ATP inspects it, confirms it's a zero-day threat, and immediately notifies the policy enforcer inside the security director. That command then instantly cascades down, not just to the firewall, but to the actual bottom layer switch. Boom! The infected laptop is cut off right at the MAC address level. The threat is physically isolated before it can spread laterally anywhere else.
So the crucial point is that security design absolutely cannot be an afterthought, just bolted on to the edge of your network. To have a true immune system, defense must be embedded at every single intersection. From the smallest branch office using an SRX 300, across the wide area network edge, all the way deep into the virtualized data center. Every node is a sensor, and every node is an enforcer. It is a completely pervasive automated shield.
Section 5. Sense, Think, Act. To bring this entire blueprint analysis together, we can summarize the core paradigm of a truly self-defending enterprise architecture in just 3 simple words.
This is the ultimate synthesis of everything we've covered today. We have moved so far beyond perimeter defense. Sky ATP and JSA are up top. They sense the environment, constantly looking for anomalies and zero-day threats. The security director sits right in the middle. It thinks, applying policies and making those automated decisions. And the vast array of SRX nodes and EX switches at the bottom, they act, carrying out enforcement instantly. It completely turns a fragile hardware stack into a self-learning, auto-blocking, highly integrated ecosystem. Which leaves us with the most important question of all for anyone architecting modern IT. Take a good, hard look at your own infrastructure right now. Is your network a static, aging fortress, just waiting for an attacker to find that one inevitable crack in the wall? Or is it a living, breathing, immune system ready to sense, adapt, and crush threats automatically? The survival of your enterprise might just depend on your answer. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.